Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show, it's about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The Cleaning Lady. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, obviously, Tony's backed into a corner in many different fronts. First and foremost, she's got to deal with the complications and the fallout of last episode with Fiona. Obviously, Fiona finding out not only did you work with a mobster, you're also working with the FBI to turn on said mobster. And the thing is, at no point in time did you tell me. It ain't like we're strangers. It ain't like we're just friends. We're family, and you didn't tell me. It's like if you had told me, I could have found a different way, and it's like we could have found a different way, which Tony's like, I didn't tell you because I wanted to try and protect you from all this. Is like, you didn't, did you? Because look at the situation. I only ended up in that situation. I almost got deported. You know what that would have meant? I would have been separated from my children. Like, oh, let's not forget, Gabby got separated from her children. Like, yeah, and that's on you. And yeah, like, Tony has to live with that. Like, she was able to help Fiona, but she wasn't able to help Gabby. That could have easily gone the wrong way. And it's like, yeah, I knew Fiona wouldn't be too happy about that. And it's like, yeah. To the point she's avoiding talking to Tony and stuff like that. Which Tony's like, I did this, but it's like, doesn't matter your reasoning. You did what you did. At the very least, I could have probably helped you find a way around this. It's like, she would have been dragged deeper into this anyway, but maybe Fiona would have told her, like, yeah, you witnessed something, make sure you tell the FBI. Like, she probably wouldn't have let Tony go down the rabbit hole of working with Armand and them if she had known ahead of time. But yeah, Tony doesn't have much choice because Lucas' situation is getting worse because of his whole liver situation. So it's like, right, okay, we're gonna have to handle this a little differently. Like, what are we gonna do? So she talks to Dr. Soroya, and he can't give her any options because anything that could, obviously, like, he needs to keep his license because, like, if he loses his license and stuff like that, it'll probably screw up Hayek's whole operation because he is kind of their go-to doctor. But also, it's just like, right, I also need to keep my job for my own sake as well. Not just for their sake of, like, what I provide for them, but also probably, I'm sure that's a big motivator, but also probably just because it's like, right, this job does pay me to do what I do and also, like, take care of the people I care about, just, so I can't threaten that by doing anything illegal. And even Tony's going as far as saying, like, all right, is there any black market options? Which he's like, you do that, you could be putting Luca in danger, which he's like, Luca's life is already in danger, so she's got to take whatever chances she can. So Armand hooks her up with someone who can take her to someone that can help her deal with the whole organ situation. So she ends up meeting Mother Donna, who ends up running this whole, as she kind of sees it, as kind of this sanctuary for, like, she's saving people from terrible situations. There's a lot of families that have to abandon their children because they don't have any way to, like, pay for it, and basically the cartels and the gangs end up finding them, prostituting them, doing terrible shit, and then killing the children when they're no longer useful. You're like, God, humanity sucks. Because you're like, yeah, that's just for the sake of the show, but you're like, yeah, but the sad thing is, there's reality to that too, and it's just like, oh, that's just depressing. And so Mother Donna's like, yeah, like, the fact is, I make this place, like, it costs a lot to keep it going, but the fact of the matter is, we help in a way where the system can't, for those who basically have nowhere else to go. And so Tony used to be a doctor, because Tony tried to be like, all right, it's going to be $70,000 for the whole thing, right? Well, we could cut costs on, all we need is an anesthesiologist, let me do that thing, like, if I can handle a lot of the other legwork to this, we could drop the price down. And she's like, whoa, you used to be I used to be a surgeon. I was like, okay, cool. You do 3 surgeries where you remove kidneys for us, we're good. That in itself is payment enough. And so Tony kind of accepts it at first, and eventually she even went to Fiona asking her for advice. And it's like, and Fiona's like, if I could give up a kidney so that I can make sure that Chris has legal status in this country, then she would. Because it is a complicated thing of, even she's like, yeah, you could try and justify it by being like, yeah, these people are willing to give, like, up an organ and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, but it's like, yeah, that's how you justify to make you feel better. But Fiona says, like, at the end of the day, once you do that first cut, there's no going back. So, because even she had her reluctancy about doing it, because it's like, yeah, if something goes wrong, these people could be dying, that could be on her. But also, it's like, she doesn't want to be a part of, like, this kind of complicated nastiness. But then when she was initially going to go through with it, until she found out who the first patient was, it was a little girl. Was like, no, we can't do this. Like, she's not old enough that this could end up compromised. Like, she could be in a compromised position. She can end up dying. But Mother Donna basically says, like, right, her parents are doing this because they'd rather take this chance, you know, trying to give their daughter a better shot. Like, that's the thing, too. Like, Tony was like, yeah, I am helping people if I'm doing this. But it's like, yeah, like, are you really going to take away this family's one shot at a better future, the American dream for their child? You're going to be taking that away if you don't do this. So it's like, yeah. And also try to guilt her into it, but like, oh, you, this is for your own child's sake. Because even the other doctor who's helping her, he's like, you don't say no to Mother Donna, which is kind of like, oh, it's kind of like, oh, she puts on like, oh, this sweet, beautiful mother, may I type of thing. But it's like, no, she tries to be like, oh, this isn't a business. It sounds an awful lot like some shady stuff. It's like, oh, you try to justify it by being like, there's good. But I guess in her mind, it's like, right, you have to do a little evil, a little complications, a little bad. It's like, because she says, like, to fund the operation, it is expensive for the food, all that for everyone. But I'm like, I don't know, it just seems shady. And so, like, even her trying to still guilt Tony at the end of it, you remember, like, if you leave here, you'll always be remembering this moment when you had an opportunity to help Luca and you didn't. You'll remember this. And I think the guilt will eat away at her, but it's like, if she did it, it's a no-win situation, because you will always know, like, there's a part of her that's like, right, I did everything I could to save Luca's life. There's that. But there's also the thing of, what did I do to save Luca's life? So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, I think in the long run, she would have felt guiltier having done this. Especially, it was a little girl. It's like, it'd be like, oh, yeah, because it's like, you want me to, that'd be like asking me to cut open my own son. It's kind of how she'd probably view it. So she had a reluctancy to do it, and ultimately she didn't do it. But, you know, she breaks down in front of Armand, and it's like, he's like, don't worry, we'll find another way. And the moment he's kissing her on the forehead and everything, I'm like, this is about to get, because it's like, it makes it weird too, because it's like, well, you're her boss, she's kind of indebted to you, plus, you know, she's in a vulnerable state too, so it makes it weird. But it's like, they're kind of kissing back and forth. I'm like, this is complicated. Yeah. It's like, she's still married and everything too, so, but then like, she pulls away, so I'm like, oh, okay, you did some making out. Nothing sexual happened. There was some heavy making out though. So she walks away. Granted, when she gets home, she finds out, oh, cool, my hubby's here. Which is interesting, because we learned a little bit about Marco this episode, that like, he's like trying to like, if he can grease the right palms, he could get a visa for the U.S. The problem is, she's like, I don't think Las Vegas is a good place for you, because it turns out he has a gambling addiction. And she's like, I get it. And she's like, I'm proud of you, but this ain't really the right time for your... So I'm like, okay, the fact that they're throwing that in there means that's going to be a rich going forward. Also begs the question, is Fiona or Tony going to tell him the truth? I mean, Fiona is like, well, I probably should tell him the truth about what his wife, my sister-in-law, and my nephew are mixed up in, because it's like, right, you are my brother, you did manage to get here, so maybe I should tell you the truth of what's going on with your family. I don't know. She might feel obligated to tell him, or maybe she's going to push Tony to tell him the truth, because he does not know all that's going on here. So the family's together, all and everything, which is great, but I mean, it's interesting because, like, well, Tony's marriage seems like it's okay. I'm sure things are about to get complicated. Armand's is kind of on the rocks right now, so we'll see how that kind of flows going forward. But it definitely puts him in a weird and awkward position going forward. But circling back around, I do like the whole thing of your boy Garrett strutting in, just being like, feels good, you know, and he's just like, like feeling himself the moment they go into like the casino or whatever, and he arrests someone, and it's like, cool. And Armand's like, okay, you got all you need? Are you ready to leave? He's like, yeah, but I'll be back. And he's just like, Garrett's just got that smugness to him. But I did like the conversations between him and Tony, because even Tony's like, right, Armand might be a bad guy, because she referenced like, oh yeah, there's a thing in her, you know, where she says like, references like, in the Philippines, there's a saying basically referencing you have her like of the snakes in the jungle, and she's like, you're the snake in the jungle. He's like, really? Of all the people that are in your circle, in your jungle right now, you're talking, I'm the snake in the jungle? Really? And it's like, she's like, yeah, but Armand might be a mobster, but he never did anything that would put my family in danger. You did. You potentially got my sister-in-law deported. You're threatening to deport me and stuff. But he's like, I promise you that's not going to happen. Because she even tried telling Fiona, like, oh, maybe I'll be able to pull some, like, sway with the FBI to get Gabby back and stuff like that. And even Fiona be like, do you even hear yourself? You're not the person I thought you were. You're not the person you used to be. But Armand ended up giving her some information to pass on, and it's like, oh, like giving up the guns. I was like, what? I was like, why would you do that? I mean, I know like Hayek is pissing you off because he's talking down to you, because Hayek is like, oh yeah, dogs, like, you know, work. These are like lions stand their ground, essentially, because it's like, if you're a dog, like, kind of say, I taught you to be a lion, and it's like, cool, that guy earlier in the episode wouldn't have gotten busted if you had actually done your job. And then you know, your boy Armand takes it like a champ, like kind of took that punch to the chin, was like, you're right. You're 100% right. I need to be a lion like you taught me. And Hayek's like, yeah. But when he walks away, there's almost this look on his face. I'm like, is Hayek actually sick and no one knows that? Is that why he's setting all this up? Why he's doing the whole Isabella thing? Because he's sick and dying and he does want her to eventually take over the family business, or what? Because he had this look on his face as he was leaving, and I'm like, he must be trying to set stuff up before he goes because he knows he's sick, and if he doesn't want to show weakness in front of anybody, so maybe that's what that is. Or maybe he's a lot more worried about the situation, that maybe he's upset with himself because he's like, damn, I slipped up. I am slipping for the FBI to be even getting this close. Is, you know, it's just one of our clients and stuff like that, sure, but it's still a little too close to home, so... There's no telling 100%, but he had this concerned look on his face. I'm just curious what that look was about. Armand didn't see it, though, because his back was turned, but still. But he ended up giving Tony some information to give to Garrett about some guns, and the moment Garrett rolls up on him, like, there's not going to be any guns there. And at first I was like, because I was like, my initial thought was, there's not going to be any guns there, because Hayek did a switcheroo, and even Armand didn't know about it, and I'm like, damn it. And Hayek's going to know there's a rat in the organization or something. But no, turns out this was all Armand's plan. He set Garrett up to make him look like an idiot, and this way he looks like an even bigger hero to Hayek, or because Armand comes out looking like, smelling like roses, because in Hayek's mind, he was failing, because it was like, right, like one of our clients got busted, plus my daughter's sniffing a little too closely to this is on you. Do a better job. So he made himself out to be the golden boy, because Isabel came to him being like, all right, so what's going on here? I know some shady stuff is going on. And he kind of hints to some of the stuff her dad's into. And he's like, right, your dad's always done stuff to protect it. Like, you're never going to get caught up in all of this, because he does a really good job. And anytime there are any cracks in this whole operation, I'm the one that fixes it. I'm the fixer. So you don't ever have to worry about it. But she's appreciative, because it's like, right, you're willing to tell me the truth. Because that's why she went to Armand first rather than her dad, because she trusts him more than she trusts her own dad. She does confront him later, but even then he's like, he won't tell her the truth. He's like, yeah, like, you know, sometimes like business partner people, they get arrested. It's like, no, but why did some of your trucks get stopped too? Yeah, but they found nothing. Yeah, but what were the FBI looking for in the first place? And she's just like, I'm done, because she doesn't want to have anything to do with his businesses, knowing what it's all tied up in and connected to. So... But, and it's just playing out the way Armand wanted it to, which is very manipulative on his front, because he used the gun situation plus the Isabel thing like it was a calculated move. Granted, it kind of screwed Tony over, because now Garrett's like, nah, it's too much of a coincidence. So it's like, yeah, sometimes, like, his partner's like, yeah, sometimes the information's just not good. It's like, no. And he figures it out. He's like, she's playing us. Armand feeds her false information to feed us. He's like, well, don't worry. I'm not going to bust her for it. We're going to use it against him. We're going to feed her false information to give to Armand. I'm like, dude, Tony just continues being snack dabbing. It's like, okay, you were a double agent, then a triple agent, and now you are unwittingly and unknowingly, at least you know you're a triple agent, at least, but now you're unknowing. You don't know that the fact is that you are, in fact, a quadruple agent. It's like all the layers, and Garrett's just like, damn, I'm smart, I'm so good, back in the game, you know. And it's like, right, I think it stings a little bit too, because Tony started making him feel guilty, because it's like, right, she's like, because as long as she's a witness to an ongoing crime and investigation, her visa will continue to last. Well, the visa, he's in the process of helping her, but to prove that he's an ally, he's going to be like, oh, no, I got your visa, I pulled it all through, it's all great. He probably won't say anything about the the fruit and stuff, but maybe he will, just to test Tony's reaction, because he'd be like, okay, so she wasn't aware of that, like, I don't know. Because eventually they could spin it to be like, okay, certify Tony's position, it could be like she is an unwilling, like, she got false information because they're on to her, and they, like, maybe they could use that to their advantage, be like, oh, we found out that Tony's a rat, like, try to pretend like that. That could be something they could use in that regard to, like, keep her, like, making Garrett believe, like, oh, she really didn't know she was feeding us false information. I immediately put, like, despite him being a douche, and let's not mince words. Other than completely being an asshole, he is actually really good at his job. He will cut some corners and do some shady shit, but he is really good at his job because he did figure that out. But like I said, I'm curious if Armand and Tony will be able to spin this to make him go like, oh, I guess I was wrong to, like, pull the trigger and believe that she was a bad person when in actuality she wasn't. We shall see how that plays out, because I'm really interested to see how, if they're going to be able to turn that around, or will he continue to just be like, no, I'm going to use Tony, I'm going to make her believe, like, yeah, like, they must have got the edge up on us, like, making her believe, like, oh, I don't think that you are feeding us false information on purpose. Like I said, if he bothers saying anything at all, we'll see. I mean, granted, her and Armand are in an awkward place right now, too, so a lot of interesting developments. Armand now, like I said, is looking more positive in what's his face's eyes, Hayek's. So he's in a good place. Once again, Tony's kind of not so much. But we'll see what Marco's appearance being here, this new shift in dynamics with Garrett, the whole triangle that is Garrett, Tony, and Armand. So we'll have to wait and see where all this goes. Also where the Isabel angle takes us going forward too. So, but really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.